So nice, simple question to start with. Who are you and what's the business?
Hiya, well, thanks very much for having me. I'm Dave Oakes. I'm the CEO of PowTechnology, where we make industry and the environment better with data from sensors and machines.
You've nailed that one line, haven't you? One piece of advice for a business owner or someone starting in the manufacturing space today?
Not an easy one, is it, that? But I'd encourage them to be customer-led, spend time talking to your customers, ask them questions. Too many businesses start with a solution and then go looking for a problem. Start with the buyer, start with their pain, and then articulate clearly how you can help them.
Yeah, good one. Problem solving at the end of the day. Do you have a piece of software or a tool or a resource or something that you couldn't live without if I was to take it away from you tomorrow?
I'm going to say people on that.
You're not the only one to say that.
The success we're enjoying at PowTechnology isn't down to a single product or an idea or one piece of software or one piece of technology. It's because we've built a really strong team. They all get excited about how we can help businesses become more efficient and improve sustainability, and getting people with a desire to do the right thing for the customer and who are genuinely excited about the technology and the solutions that we provide.
Brilliant. Okay, more of a personal question. What do you enjoy doing outside of work?
Anything that clears my head. I love the great outdoors and can often be found out on the hills of the Peak District with my rather bouncy border collie. The fresh air gives my mind a chance to wander, and it's when some of the best ideas come to me. I love cricket. I used to play quite a bit, but nowadays it's more of a spectator sport for me. In the past, I've done quite a bit of travelling, sometimes by bike, getting off the beaten track in places like Cambodia or Panama or Laos, that sort of stuff.
Do you start your day with a routine? Is there something that you do to kick off your day?
Well, the first thing I do is go and have a rummage around the sales inbox and see what inquiries we've had come in. I get a real buzz from engaging with clients and seeing how we can help them. So not really a routine; it's just an exciting exploration.
Yeah, nice. Deep dive into the business then. So, what's the elevator pitch? What do you, when you're out and about, what do you tell people you do? What's the easy understanding, easy explanation of what it is?
At its simplest, we make it easy and affordable for businesses to get useful data out of sensors and machines, to move it securely, and to turn it into better decisions. Might be tank levels, flow, temperature, emissions, machine status, or data coming from directly from a PLC or a control system, and we capture that and make it usable, providing insight. So people sometimes describe what we do as it's getting a bit dated, this, but maybe a Fitbit for industry, giving operators, engineers, and managers clear visibility of what actually is happening across their fleets or their infrastructure. We've got a product suite that we call Metrons that connect to virtually any sensor or machine and presents the data through simple web interfaces via dashboards, and we provide alarms and device management and data integration so that various teams can prevent issues, improve efficiency, and stay compliant, all at scale.
Is there a sweet spot in terms of the clients that you work with and the types of machines and the sector that you're involved in?
Yeah, the sweet spot has been the sort of the chemical and the fuel sector. That remote tank level was an early adopter of this kind of technology, and we monitor tens of thousands of tanks across the globe, because it costs a lot of money to move tons and tons of liquids around. These vehicles don't do many miles to the gallon, and we've proven that you can save at least 30% the number of miles needed to deliver the same volume of product over a period of time with telemetry than without. So the ROI is really strong, but you get additional benefits as well, such as the month-end stock take, or better production planning or purchasing. You prevent run-out, so you don't have a customer screaming down the phone at you. You prevent overspill, so you've not got an environmental challenge. When it comes to fuels, we can detect theft, and it's surprisingly commonplace even across industrial situations where fuel is stolen and put in someone's Ford Mondeo.
And you can track that with the systems that you're putting in place.
Yeah, we've got solutions that will do theft detection, leak detection for environmental spillage as well. So, yeah, it's pretty clever.
Yeah, is that I guess immediate reporting, like while the theft is happening? Can you?
It can be, yeah. There's a bit of a delay, and yes, we do some work for a large UK-based national courier network, and they've had situations where they've detected theft, and they've got helicopters from the police chasing the thieves down the road. Doesn't always have to be simple pilfering. People can turn up with a clipboard and a high-vis jacket and nick 20,000 litres of fuel. It's amazing what goes on in this world that people just don't know about it. The benefits of data can be phenomenal.
Yeah.
On our website, we've got a case studies section where we have pages and pages and pages of case studies, and the majority of those we've got a customer testimonial. And we found it a great way to, first of all, showcase what we do, but also provide credibility. Part of the sales process, people don't believe, one, that the kit is going to work. Well, we connected our first sensor to the internet back in 2001. We've been doing it for a while. We've done it quite a few times. It works. Yeah. We're a Siemens Solutions partner. You don't get to that level of kudos without your stuff being credible. But also it helps people get ideas, but it also helps us share the benefits that are out there.
Are your clients global, national, UK? Are they
various? Are two of our three largest clients are outside the UK. There's a lot of things where the UK does lead the way. We have a good educational system. We have a good manufacturing basis, especially when it comes to technology.
Yeah, I'm just interested because there's a lot you cover. I mean, I can see even on the background that you've got behind you, there's an awful lot of services and things that you offer as a company.
Yeah,
and often that presents its own challenges in how you market and how you tell people what you do when you can do so much.
That has been a challenge. So you complimented me on my initial expression as to how we describe ourselves. Our elevator pitch, it's been a standing joke that, we needed 200 stories in order to tell it, and that you change what you were saying depending on the client, etc., 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 trying to make it contextual for them. That's become less necessary because people have become aware of the use of technology and are more accepting of the use of technology now than they were 5, 6, 7 years ago. If I had have told you 25 years ago that you could be receiving an email alert to tell you your tank's going empty, you'd think I was crackers. You wouldn't understand the benefit of the data. But now you'd kind of know, yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense because people are wired a bit differently now.
So has it become easier then to almost educate and explain what it is that you do? Do people tend to get it? I guess in the early days it was very much this is why you need it, this is what it does, this is the technology, this is where it can help you, and it was, I imagine, a lot harder when it was relatively new.
Yeah, I don't think we helped ourselves for a while in that for a long time we were very proud of our little box and our our capabilities from a technology point of view, but we're teaching ourselves to talk more from the client's perspective. What can we do for them, and articulating the benefits that we bring. So leading with our case studies, leading with data that drives from that, rather than haven't we got a shiny lovely box, which people don't care how we do it, they just care we're going to do it well.
So on that then, can you give us you don't obviously have to name names or companies and stuff, but can you give us a traditional, typical kind of engagement process?
Yeah, a typical sort of engagement is that, first of all, he's trying to determine a suitable requirement, so a problem that they need to solve. So it could be they need to know the level in the tanks that are on their customers' sites, or it could be that they've got a bottleneck in their production facility, or it could be that they're selling a commodity and that they want to start selling a service, and how could data be used around that. One of our clients make an awful lot of glue, and it's used in many industrial applications. Like, you wouldn't believe how many cardboard boxes seal. Well, you probably would. It's a big number, and there's a lot of packaging lines where the glue is being used. But if you're selling the glue, then your client cares about the price of glue. Well, let's re-educate the client to say it's not about the price of glue, it's the cost of sealing each carton that matters. And if you've got the best glue, then you can use less of that glue. So it doesn't become a case of the glue is X pounds per gram or kilo. It becomes how much is needed to seal it. Well, then you need to prove that you can do that, but you can then wrap that around a service and be telling your clients when you're using too much glue or too little glue. And we're seeing all of industry work closer. That it's the purchasing supplier relationship isn't beating people down on price. It's working together so we can all we can all lower our costs, and we can all increase our market share, and we can all survive or thrive, in this world that this ever-changing and challenging world that we're in. So what we'll do, going back to your question, is that we'll get a proof of concept, do enough assets to prove the value. Once the benefits are clear, we'll start rolling out. But what matters is that early proof of concept. So getting the data flowing in time that's measured by days, not months. Well, go back to chemical storage. That we had a chemical company onto us a few weeks ago, where they were asking, they had this tank, it was outside, it was quite a big tank, it was containing some nasty chemical, but we were able to very quickly recommend a solution and then supply them something that was really easy to fit, and that within low weeks they could see that level, through their smartphone or their computer, without them having to really do engineering. It was pre-coded, and it was all set up. For us, it was just joining a couple of standard products together and using it, but knowing how to do that, with our 35 years of know-how, was the way it came together.
The skill what essentially clients are paying for, isn't it?
It is, yeah. And what we've done is we've developed sensor and machine agnostic hardware. So we'll connect to any sensor and get the data. We'll connect to, I'm not going to say any machine, we'll connect to a lot of machines and get the data and be able to deploy that without the customer needing to do any coding, and for us to be able to reconfigure that from a remote location through a web interface.
Do your clients typically know they need you and find you, or do you have to do a lot of going out and finding them?
We traditionally had to do a lot of going out and finding them, and they had no idea that this sort of thing could be a benefit. But it is becoming more and more prevalent now. Combination of how we articulate what we do, coupled with the phrases such as IIoT, Industry 4.0, digital transformation. You know, we exhibited at the Smart Manufacturing Show last year, and associated to our space, you know, there's a lot of exhibitors that were leading with how data can benefit businesses, and we're part of that ecosystem.
So where do you traditionally get involved? Do you get involved right at the beginning, right at the concept, or do you get involved further down the line when there's, you know, a clear need for automation and digitalization and these sorts of things, or is it a bit of a mix?
So it's very much a mix, and it's also, it's not just about where do we get involved when it's for the project. It's where do we fit into the jigsaw. You know, we're not sitting here saying we'll build you a digital twin, but the data could quite easily be used to build a digital twin, and we can bring that in. We're a Siemens partner, but we would lean on Siemens or another Siemens partner to help deliver that. And the same with AI. You know, there's we're building relationships with our friends through ConeX, you know, to be able to deliver AI solutions, and they need data. You know, the guys at Razer need data, and our clients need some fancy maths at the end of it all.
Before we go into that, you also manufacture as well?
Yeah, we manufacture the hardware, the gateways that will connect to the sensors, that will connect to the machines. We don't manufacture sensors. We will supply them. We'll work with suppliers, and or we'll work with existing instrumentation.
So talk me through the manufacturing process then that you've got in place. What is it that you're actually manufacturing from a hardware side?
So we'll make little boxes like this. So in there you've got a number of PCBs which are put through a surface mount, you know, flow solder, pick and placey, wonderful machine. We subcontract that out, do final assembly, we'll do calibration. But what really matters is that we're doing the product design, you know, working out, and the code.
Okay then, so bringing this back round, how did you personally end up in this world? What's your story into where you are today?
Personally, my background is in instrumentation and measurement and communication. So if you go back to the 1990s, I was measuring how much water was in a reservoir and using radio waves to get that back to HQ. Or is a pumping station, you know, has it got power? All those sorts of things, and things across factories. So you can see the sort of the synergy from that. And it's hard to imagine a time when the mobile phone network wasn't really used for data, but you know, back in the 1990s, that's what it was. You know, GPRS didn't become usable until, I don't know, the early noughties. In practice, you could pretend to be able to look at data on your mobile phone, but it was a bit, you know, it was nothing beyond the news headlines. It was a bit like CFAX on a Nokia. We connected our first sensor to the internet in 2001, and using third-party technology. But in 2005, we introduced our first product. And then in 2010, we introduced our own platform, because we were using third-party products first of all, and then we were using third-party platforms. But from 2010 onwards, we've had the sort of the complete package, which has enabled us to sort of evolve the product range and make it more powerful and more usable.
So you've always been in and around this sector.
Yeah.
Ambitions for the short and medium term future?
We're going through a period of high growth. We've grown 30% year on year for a few years, and you know, so far that we work calendar year, so far this year, you know, I know now that we're going to hit half year 30% up on last year, and you know, we're expanding the sales team, so I've just taken on a couple of new guys so that we can ensure that we do that, you know, quarter 3, quarter 4 this year and into next year. The product roadmap looks further ahead than that. Yeah, we're looking at 30% year on year growth, and we expect to achieve that for the next 5 years.
You're I guess, always on the ground, always talking to lots of organizations, lots of companies, especially those obviously in the data management world. You've got your finger on the pulse, as it were, across the sector. Is there something or a series of things that you're most excited for in the future? Not necessarily for the business, but just as a sector as a whole. Is there something that you've got your eye on that's like that's going to make a big change?
I think the exciting is already happening, and that is I'll call them consumers, the client's attitude to the use of technology, and how COVID was a difficult time, but now we're talking through a a web-based mechanism that who'd have thought that 7 years ago was something that was acceptable for probably 80% of our meetings nowadays. And who'd have thought that instead of having to wander down to the shop floor to write the data, write the dial reading on a gauge, that I'll just have that sent to the internet. So it's that change in society and the way that people are more accepting of data and the use of the cloud, etc., etc.
Do you plan for things that may or may not happen? So supply chain disruption, like Trump throwing tariffs all over the thing, the blockades in the canals, all of these sort of things. Is there anything in the business that has almost a what if question above it?
We're ISO 27001, which is all to do with data protection and data security, but we're also 9001. And that means that we run a risk register, and we, periodically, throw ourselves together for a few hours and we thrash things out and go, do we think, can we just stretch that a little bit? Are we acting appropriately? What business hates is uncertainty, and how can you control that certainty? Best is to have control of your stock, control of your manufacturing as much as you can. Would be foolish to preach to people that they need data to run their businesses better and then not use data to run our business as best we can, as much as cash will allow.
Okay, so I asked you to pick a couple of topics that we go for a bit more of a journey and a deep dive into. And I'm going to start with, based on what you just said, the efficiency and productivity side of things. So that is, I guess, the bread and butter of what your business revolves around, is that efficiency.
Improving, yeah. Improving efficiency and productivity by preventing problems before they become expensive. Making sure that people don't run out of chemicals, or product doesn't overspill and cause an environmental catastrophe, or you don't end up with unplanned downtime or an emergency call out. We know that doing things in a hurry, doing things in a rush, leads to mistakes, and it leads to increased cost. Tank level, we spoke about that earlier, but not having to do things in an emergency. That I've seen data sets where you see that the client has 77% of deliveries were being made to customers who had run out of product. So there's two impacts there. One is their customer has got downtime because they've not got the raw material to do whatever they need to do, or the fuel to send out the vans or whatever it may be. But equally, the supplier has to drop everything and rush through a production batch, or divert that tanker, or put someone on overtime to achieve it. But that could also be condition monitoring that's preventing breakdowns, or perhaps you're an equipment provider and you're maintaining some, you've got an estate of assets across your customers' sites, like, I don't know, air conditioning or gearboxes, or some specific machine. Well, wouldn't it be nice that before you're setting off to go and fix that machine, that you knew what was wrong, so you can make sure you've got the spare part in your bag?
Do you think many businesses are aware of efficiency and productivity improvements that they could be making, or do they make them by accident because they're firefighting a problem that's happened?
I think more organisations are becoming aware, and you see it across different sectors have different attitudes. So there's various industries where they just run to destruction, sort of like mining, quarrying, that just run the machine until it breaks. But, well, how does that impact sustainability as well as productivity and everything else? But, an inefficient machine uses more energy.
Do you get faced with that issue? Do you get faced with the classic, this is how we've always done it, we're not going to change anything attitude, or is it much more open to change now?
Constantly get faced with that, constantly. And one of the challenges that we have, it's not about getting the POC and proving that the kit will work. It's not about delivering the ROI. It's about changing I'll call it culture within the organisation that you're dealing with to get them accept. I've done projects for tank level monitoring, 500 tanks, and you could look at the data beforehand and after, and they were filling their customers' tanks when they were 50% full, instead of, let's say that was 20% full. So you look at it before telemetry, you look at it after, there's no change. They've not adopted the technology. They could have saved themselves millions and millions of pounds if a low number of people had trusted the data that was coming into them. And but you need that to come from within. We can't be changing that. We can encourage it, we can educate, we can't actually make it happen. But what it does do is lead us to, one, get the client to start thinking about, let's solve a problem, let's not worry about the technology, and let's do one thing and let's build on that. That I'm not going to go in and make a brownfield factory that's 50 years old and lots of old rattly machines. I'm not going to go and turn that into state of the art whiz bang wallop sort of place immediately, but go in, achieve one thing, and then over a period of time that can be a journey, and they can learn, they can get confidence, they can get buy-in from their colleagues to make it grow and become more significant over time.
And business owners and manufacturers and SMEs are very much, well, our challenge, our goal right now is to go find work, get it in the factory, get it back out the factory as a finished product. How do you expect them to also have an eye on digitalization and automation and sustainability and all of these other 1,000,001 things? And my argument is very much that the messaging is slightly wrong, in that there's this end goal and everyone's talking about the end goal and everyone's saying you have to get to here and we all have to get to there. Not many people are talking about the incremental steps that you can actually take to make a difference tomorrow.
Start with a why. Start with a single problem. Solve the problem. Learn, progress, build. Make it affordable. Get that proof of concept in there. Get it data moving quickly. I guess where we're lucky is that we provide the complete path. So we understand the instrumentation and the hardware. We provide the connectivity. We provide the platform. We provide the support. We can plug in the AI. We can plug in the digital twin. And that can be, integrated. But let's start by reducing the amount of rejects or improving the logistics or something within the organisation first.
Yeah, find that bottleneck, solve that problem, use data to solve that problem, see the results.
Yeah.
And then grow from there.
Yeah. And legislation is coming in, a bit of reporting on where your fuel's going, where your energy's getting used. It makes perfect sense. You might have two machines that look identical, but one uses more electricity than the other. Why? Yeah. We did a job. It involved temperature measurement, and the client was doing it for condition monitoring, and they had strong reasons to be getting this temperature data. But we got the system in, we did the proof of concept, and they very quickly found out within about 48 hours that this equipment was being left on unnecessarily for long periods of time. And this client's got several hundred of these assets, and for each one, we saved them £100,000 a year just from knowing that it was being left on. Dead simple, but very, very beneficial.
And again, it keeps looping back to that reactive versus proactive thing. Like, why would you wait until the legislation comes in, realise that you suddenly then have to have this massive overhaul and huge change to sit within legislations and new rules and regulations, when if you actually look a little bit ahead, have a bit of pre-planning and think, well, I'm going to have to do this, so why not start the ball rolling?
It's commonplace that people are saying, we're struggling to find the skills to do something. Well, what we're saying is you don't need to have the skills to do it. We will do it for you. They might not have the cash to do it. Well, let's finance it. You're going to be saving money on day one. That's very possible. We can offer finance packages over 3-5 years, so someone can make this, a few pounds a day rather than a huge investment.
Yeah. What should a company be thinking in order to get in touch with you? So what problem should they be having on their desk? What should they be realizing that is an issue to suddenly have that light bulb moment? Well, actually, we need to go and get in touch with your team.
I don't think they need to be thinking about anything other than they have a desire to investigate. That a conversation costs nothing. We have probably done something similar in that kind of facility, and we can, in a quick walk round a factory, we can look for situations about where's a bottleneck, where's someone capturing data on a clipboard, where's the data stuck in a data logger or sat on a chart recorder, where us telling you that something was going over temperature instantly rather than a day later or a week later or never could be a benefit.
Is there anything else then from a business point of view, product point of view, anything that you wanted to touch on that we haven't covered?
I don't think so. I think we've covered quite a lot of ground there. That we're at PowTechnology.com. We're nice and visible on LinkedIn. We're of course accessible through ConeX and yourselves. And
any exhibitions or shows or anything like that you're exhibiting or attending?
Yes, we are exhibiting at Chem UK, so we'll be at the NEC in Birmingham on the 20th and the 21st of May. A big event coming up in July is Transform, so we're a Siemens Solutions part. You can see a lot of advanced technology, and of course PowTechnology, we're going to be there, but there's some great kit on display, there's some great people to talk to, and there's some great talks on. It happens every 2 years, and this is the third event, and the previous two have been absolutely brilliant. I do encourage people to go along there and see what's available.
Thank you very much for joining and supporting and shouting about what you do.
No, thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for everything you do at ConeX. It's, I'm really glad we've got involved, and looking forward to the Founding 40 stuff and motoring forward with that.
It's brilliant.
Well done. Cheers, Sam.